Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayantirye Nashtipraye Shavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, the Manus, Administrators of the Universe. Text number 17 on. So far we studied how Swambhuva Manu is gone for tapasya, austerities, and he glorified and prayed to the Lord. Text 17. Shri Shukuvacha iti mantropanishadam vyaharantam samahitam drishtva surayat udhana jagdhum abhya dravan kshudha. Shukdev Goswami continued. Swambhuva Manu was thus in a trance, chanting the mantras of Vedic instructions known as Upanishads. Upon seeing him, the Rakshasas and Asuras, being very hungry, wanted to devour him. Therefore, they ran after him with great speed. See, these Rakshasas and Asuras, they just don't like somebody doing his tapasya properly. So they just wanted to eat him up, to eat up Swambhuva Manu, a very great devotee and not an ordinary person. But Rakshasas and Asuras, they cannot think of anything except their body, their own sense gratification. Tan sathav sitan viksha yagya sarvagato harihi yame parivrito dever hatva shasat trivishchapam. The Supreme Lord Vishnu, who sits in everyone's heart, appearing as Yagyapati, observed that the Rakshasas and demons were going to devour Swambhuva Manu. Thus the Lord, accompanied by his sons, named the Yamas, and by all other demigods, killed the demons and the Rakshasas. He then took the post of Indra and began to rule the heavenly kingdom. The various names of the demigods, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, and so on, are not personal names. They are names of different posts. I don't know why Prabhupada said Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a person. In this regard, we understand that Lord Vishnu sometimes becomes Brahma or Indra when there is no suitable person to occupy these posts. And also we can see how he appeared to protect Swambhuva Manu. Now Swambhuva Manu, as we know, Manus are Shakti Avatar of Krishna. and he's a great devotee. So, or Manvantar Avatar, and he's a great devotee. So Krishna had to protect him. Swarochisho dvitiyas tu manuragre suto abhavat dyumat susheno ruchishmat pramukhastasya cha atmajaha. The son of Agni, named Swarochisha, became the second Manu. His several sons were headed by Dyumat, Sushena, and Rochishmat. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manu, the Manu Putra, the sons of Manu, the king of the heavenly planets, and the seven great sages are all partial incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Manu himself, his sons Priyavrat and Uttanpad, this is the Swambhuva Manu Prabhupada's doctrine. The demigods created by Daksha and the rishis like Marichi were all partial incarnations of the Lord during the reign of Swambhuva Manu. During that time, the incarnation of the Lord as Yagya took charge of ruling the heavenly planets. The next Manu was Swarochisha. The Manus and the sages and demigods further described in the following 11 verses. So next Manu is Swarochisha. Tatrendro rochan swatis devas chatushita deha ojastambha daya sutta rishyo brahmavadina. During the reign of Swarochisha, the post of Indra was assumed by Rochan, the son of Yajna. Tushita and others became the principal demigods, and Urja, Stambha, and others became the 7 saints. All of them were faithful devotees of the Lord. Rishyastu Vedashirasastu Shita Nam Patnya Bhut Hitasyam Jagya Tato Devo Vibhur Iti Abhivishruta. Vedashira was a very celebrated rishi. From the womb of his wife, whose name was Tushita, came the avatar named Vibhu. Ashtashiti Sahasrani Munyo Ye Dhrit Vrita Anvakshikshan Vratam Tasya Komara Brahmacharinaha. Vibhu remained a brahmachari and never married throughout his life. From him, 88,000 other saintly persons took lessons on self-control, austerity, and similar behavior. Trityottamo nama priyavrit suto manuhu pavanah srinjayo yagya potra dhyastat sutan nripa. O king, the third Manu, Uttam, was the son of King Priyavrat. Among the sons of this Manu were Pavan, Srinjay, and Yagyahotra. Vasishtha Tanya Sapta, Rishya Pramadadaya, Satya Vedashruta Bhadra, Deva Indrastu Satyajit. During the reign of the third Manu, Pramad and other sons of Vasishtha became the 7 sages. The Satyas, Vedashrutas, and Bhadras became demigods, and Satyajit was selected to be Indra, the king of heaven. Dharmasya sunritayam tu Bhagwan Purushottamaha Satyasen iti khyato jata Satyavratah saha. In this Manvanta, the Supreme Personality of God had appeared from the womb of Sunrita, who was a wife of Dharma, the demigod in charge of religion. The Lord was celebrated as Satyasen, and he appeared with other demigods known as Satyavrats. So Anrit Vrit Duhshil Anasato Yaksha Rakshashan Bhut Druho Bhut Ganashcha Avadhit Satyajit Sakha. Satyasen, along with his friend Satyajit, who was the king of heaven, Indra, killed all the untruthful, impious, and misbehaved yakshas, rakshasas, and ghostly living entities who gave pain to other living beings. Chaturtha Uttama Bhrata Manur Namna Chatamasaha Prithu Khyatir Naraketur Iti Adya Dashta Sutta. The brother of the third Manu, Uttam, was celebrated by the name Tamas, and he became the 4th Manu. Tamas had 10 sons, headed by Prithu, Khayati, Nara, and Ketu. Satyaka Hari Ovira Devastri Ishvaraha Jyotir Dhama Daya Sapta Rishyas Tam Se Antare. During the reign of Tamas Manu, among the demigods were the Satyakas, Haris, and Viras. The heavenly king Indra was Trishikha. The sages in Saptarishi Dham were headed by Jyotirdham. Deva Vyadhritayo Nama Vidhrates Tanayan Nripa Nashtah Kalena Yaraveda Vidhrita Svena Tejasa. O king, in the Tamas Manvanta, the sons of Vidhriti, who were known as Vyadhritis, also became demigods. Since in course of time the Vedic authority was lost, these demigods by their own powers protected the Vedic authority. In the Tamas Manvantar, there were 2 kinds of demigods, and one of them was known as the Vyadhritis. The duty of the demigods is to protect the authority of the Vedas. The word Devata refers to one who carries the authority of the Vedas, whereas Rakshasas are those who defy the Vedic authority. If the authority of the Vedas is lost, the entire universe becomes chaotic. Therefore, it is the duty of the demigods, as well as the kings and aides of governments, to give full protection to the Vedic authority. Otherwise, human society will be in chaotic condition in which there cannot be peace or prosperity. So in Tamas Manvantar, as Prabhupada said, there were two sets of demigods. So one were called Vedhritis, or the sons of Vidhriti. So we studied how in Swayambhuva Manu time the mother was Diti. So Diti had Daityas and Aditi had all the demigods born of Aditi. But every Manvantar, it's different. But Prabhupada says the main duty is to protect the Vedic authority. And those who follow the Vedic authorities are demigods or devatas. Tatrapi jagya bhagwan harinyam harinedasa haririti aharito yena gajendro mochito griha. Also in this Manvanta, the Supreme Lord Vishnu took birth from the womb of Harini, the wife of Harinedha. And he was known as Hari. Hari saved his devotee Gajendra, the king of the elephants, from the mouth of a crocodile. Shri Raju Vacha. So Shri Raju means the Parikshit Maharaj. Badrayan etat te shrotum ichha mahe vayam harir yatha gajapatim graha grastam amumuchut. King Parikshit said, my Lord Badrayani, we wish to hear from you in detail how the king of the elephants, when attacked by a crocodile, was delivered by Hari. So that story will be in the next chapter. Tat kathasu mahatpunyam dhanyam swasyayanam shubham tat yatra yatra uttam shloko bhagwan giyate harihe. Any literature or narration in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttam Shloka, is described and glorified is certainly great, pure, glorious, auspicious, and all good. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world simply by describing Krishna. Prabhupada says, we have published many books, including Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in 17 volumes, 400 pages each, as well as Bhagavad Gita and the Nectar of Devotion. We are also publishing Srimad Bhagavatam in 60 volumes. Of course, that time Prabhupada's point was to, he was producing small books, not big books like Bhagavatam we have now, which has 18 volumes. So the idea was, let there be small books, let them be distributed, let people get used to reading them, or well, used to is mild word, get addicted to reading them. And like we see from Prabhupada's purpose, it's all nectar. It's all nectar. And Prabhupada says he's including Chaitanya Charitamrita in 17 volumes. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we know the history of Chaitanya Charitamrita, although Prabhupada is still writing Srimad Bhagavatam purport, but then somehow somebody suggested, Prabhupada, why don't you write commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita so that the devotees know about Lord Chaitanya? Now, Lord Chaitanya's biography is written in majorly 3 books: Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Chaitanya Charitamrita in original Bengali. So Prabhupada chose Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because other 2 books, they're basically pastimes, lots of stories, pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Charitamrita, along with stories, it has lots of philosophy. So Prabhupada chose Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also Chaitanya Mangal is mostly the childhood pastimes of Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Bhagavat is later, but Chaitanya Charitamrita deals with the Antya Leela, where Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri. And he, besides spreading Sankirtan movement, he also had his own personal ecstasies in Jagannath Puri, and Prabhupada wanted to describe that. So anyway, maybe after Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll pick up Chaitanya Charitamrita. But regardless, it's all nectar, plenty of nectar. Forget about one lifetime. There could be many lifetimes we can spend reading Prabhupada's books. So Prabhupada says, therefore the preaching of Krishna wherever a speaker holds discourses from these books and an audience hears him, this will create a good and auspicious situation. Therefore, the preaching of Krishna consciousness must be done very carefully by the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, especially the sannyasis. This will create an auspicious atmosphere. And it really does. Wherever we read Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's purports, it's just so amazing. Everybody gets hooked onto it. And Prabhupada's mercy, this class has been going on for the last, 4 years now? 3.5, 4 years, something like that. And hopefully it will continue till the end of our lives. Text 33. Shri Sutuvacha Parikshitavam Satu Badarayani Prayopavishten Katha Sachoditaha Uvacha Vipraha Pratinande Parthivam Muda Muninam Sadasisma Shranvatam. Shri Suta Goswami said, O Brahmins, when Parikshit Maharaj, who was awaiting impending death, thus requested Shukdev Goswami to speak, Shukdev Goswami, encouraged by the king's words, offered respect to king and spoke with great pleasure in the assembly of sages who desired to hear him. So, since we still have time, so thus ends the first chapter. We can start the second chapter. The elephant Gajendra's crisis. Text 1. Shri Shukuvacha Asid Giri Varo Rajan Strikut iti Vishrutaha Shiro Dena Vrita Shriman Yojana Yuttam Uchritaha. Shukdev Goswami said, my dear king, there is a very large mountain called Trikut. It is 10,000 yojans, 80,000 miles high, being surrounded by the ocean of milk. It is very beautifully situated. Of course, the modern space explorers, they cannot find this mountain. Tavata vistritaha paryak dribhik shuro payonidhim disha kham rochayannaste ropyaya sahiranmaye anyasha kakubha sarva ratna dhatu vichitritah nana drumallata gulmer nirghosher nirjharam sabham. The length and breadth of the mountain are of the same measurement, 80,000 miles. Its three principal peaks, which are made of iron, silver, and gold, beautify all directions and the sky. The mountain also has other peaks, which are full of jewels and minerals, and are decorated with nice trees, creepers, and shrubs. The sounds of the waterfalls on the mountain create a pleasing vibration. In this way, the mountain stands, increasing the beauty of all directions. Wow, we can only imagine what kind of beautiful mountain it must be. Sachavinidya manan gri samantat payormiti karoti shamala umim harinamar katashmabhi. The ground at the foot of the mountain is always washed by waves of milk that produce emeralds all around in the 8 directions, north, south, east, west, and the directions midway between them. From Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that there are various oceans. Somewhere there is an ocean filled with milk, somewhere an ocean of liquor, an ocean of ghee, an ocean of oil, and an ocean of sweet water. Thus, there are different varieties of oceans within this universe. The modern scientists who have only limited experience cannot defy these statements. They cannot give us full information about any planet, even the planet on which we live. From this verse, however, we can understand that if the valleys of some mountains are washed with milk, this produces emeralds. No one has the ability to imitate the activities of material nature as conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can try at our home, we can create a little mountain of rock and mud and try to wash the valley with milk and see if it produces emeralds. I don't think we can, it will ever do that. But this is Krishna and this is Krishna's nature. Nobody can surpass that. Nobody can even imitate that. No way. Siddha Charan Gandharvair Vidyadhar Mahoragah Kinnar Apsaro Bhishcha Kridat Bhir Jushtakandaraha. The inhabitants of the higher planets, the Siddhas, Charans, Gandharvas, Vidyadhars, serpents, Kinnars, and Apsaras, go to that mountain to sport. Thus, all the caves of the mountain are full of these denizens of the heavenly planets. As ordinary men may play in the salty ocean, the inhabitants of the higher planetary system go to the ocean of milk. They float in the ocean of milk and also enjoy various sports within the caves of Trikut mountain. It sounds great. And the ocean of milk, that is Kshirshagar, where Lord Vishnu is residing. Yatra Sangita Sannadair Narad Goham Amarshaya Abhi Garjanti Arya Shlaghina Parashankaya. Because of the resounding vibrations of the denizens of heaven singing in the caves, the lions there, being very proud of their strength, roar with unbearable envy, thinking that another lion is roaring that way. In the higher planetary systems, there are not only different types of human beings, but also animals like lions and elephants. There are trees, and the land is made of emeralds. Such is a creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung in this regard, Keshav Tuya Jagata Vichitra. My dear Lord Krishna, Keshav, your creation is colorful and full of varieties. Geologists, botanists, and other so-called scientists speculate about other planetary systems. But being unable to estimate the varieties on other planets, they falsely imagine that all planets, but this one, are vacant, uninhabited, and full of dust. Although they cannot even estimate the varieties existing throughout the universe, they are very proud of their knowledge. And they are accepted as learned by persons of a similar caliber, because they don't meet or they don't even trust a person who has more knowledge as given in Srimad Bhagavatam. They will say, oh, this is all mythology. This is not true. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shravid Varahavaштrakara, materialistic leaders are praised by dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. And they themselves are also big animals. One should not be satisfied with the knowledge imparted by a big animal. Rather, one must take knowledge from a perfect person like Shukadeva Goswami. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. Our duty is to follow the instructions of the Mahajans. There are 12 Mahajans and Shukadeva Goswami is one of them. Vyasaki is Shukadeva Goswami. What he says we consider to be factual. That is perfect knowledge. See Prabhupada, how he calls all these big scientists big animals. Because his comments are based on Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever Bhagavatam says. Of course, Prabhupada can say that, we cannot say that. So whatever is given in scriptures, Vedic literature, is perfect. Whether we can understand or conceive of it or not, that's a different story. but is perfect. नानारण्य श्रुवात संकुल द्रोण्य अलंकृतः चित्रद्रुम सुरोद्यान कलकंठ विहंगमः. The valleys beneath Trikut mountain are beautifully decorated by many varieties of jungle animals. And in the trees which are maintained in gardens by the demigods, varieties of birds chirp with sweet voices. Sarit sarvabhirachode puli nair mani valukah devastri majjanam moda saurabhambava nilarayutah. Trikut mountain has many lakes and rivers with beaches covered by small gems resembling grains of sand. The water is as clear as crystal, and when the demigod damsels bathe in it, their bodies lend fragrance to the water, and the breeze thus enriching the atmosphere. Even in the material world, there are many grades of living entities. The human beings on earth generally cover themselves with external fragrances to stop the bad bodily odors. But here we find that because of the bodily fragrance of the demigod damsels, the rivers, the lakes, the breeze, and the entire atmosphere of Trikut mountain also became fragrant. Since the bodies of the damsels in the upper planetary systems are so beautiful, we can just imagine how beautifully formed are the bodies of the Vaikuntha damsels, so the damsels in Vrindavan, the gopis. We can't imagine. So these damsels or apsaras of heavenly planets, beautiful, and they have the ingrained bodily fragrance. It's all inbuilt. They don't perspire just like we do and give out bad bodily odor. And that is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunyam Arjuna. The Vedas describe all these heavenly planets, and in the Karma Kanda section, which is like 96% of the Vedas, is a Karma Kanda section, and it just entices people that you do this yagya, this tapasya, this dan, this vrata, then you'll go to heaven where the heavenly beauties are there. You can enjoy them. But it doesn't tell you after enjoying, you have to come back. Only spiritual world, when one goes to, then he doesn't come back. And Prabhupada says, we can just imagine how beautifully formed are the bodies of Vaikuntha damsels. So the gopis of Vrindavan are considered the most beautiful. Then even the Lakshmi of Vaikuntha. And the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha are many, 1 trillion times beautiful than these apsaras or damsels of heaven. And among all the gopis, there are 108 topmost gopis, beauty and other ways also, how they love, how they serve Krishna. Among 108, there are two special gopis, Srimati Radharani and Chandravali, who was cousin of Radharani, but a competitor. Well, among the two, Srimati Radharani is the most beautiful. That is the position of Radharani. Even though these are all gopis in Vrindavan, they are not very rich. They don't put on all these expensive ornaments, jewels. They're gopis. They just carry milk products, and then they wear just simple gopi dresses and decorate themselves with the flowers found in the forest. But their beauty, it just surpasses everything or everybody in the whole creation, and especially the beauty of Srimati Radharani, because Krishna is known as Madan Mohan. He attracts even Cupid. And Srimati Radharani is Madan Mohana Mohini. She attracts even Krishna, who attracts a Cupid. So that is Srimati Radharani. So anyway, we'll stop there and carry on with this description tomorrow. See, anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, today you have said one thing very nice, that we will continue the classes till lifetime. Hearing that, just please me so much. I was scared that once this, because we are in the 8th canto now, just 2 cantos left. So I thought, what will happen after that? Do we continue? What will happen? That kind of. I was
2
in a dilemma.
cantos. Why 2 cantos? There are 12 cantos.
Oh, okay. Because I can see, I follow the PrabhupadaBooks.com. So there, I think 10 cantos are showing.
Yeah, Prabhupada wrote only until 10th canto, chapter 13. But 10th canto has 90 chapters, 90.
Oh my God.
So Prabhupada's disciples, they took the service of writing further.
So I believe Prabhuji will very nicely said that we'll continue the classes till next day. We'll keep getting,
Oh yeah, there is Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is Nectar of Devotion, there's so many books. Oh, there's unlimited. And then
Thank
even
you,
if
Prabhuji.
everything is completed, we can study Brihad Bhagavatamrita.
Yeah. Sure.
There is plenty of material. Don't worry.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.